Okay, good morning, everyone. It's John Lee here. We're here for a rematch up against Stockfish. This is a man versus machine match. I've called it Stockfish's Revenge. Basically, it's going to be Stockfish playing Crazy House, but apparently with some upgrades. So last time I took on Stockfish, it was against Lee Chester's version of Stockfish. I've been told that it probably only uses less than 1 second per move. Um, since then, I've been informed by some of those closer to Stockfish that there's been some upgrades, but also this time Stockfish will be operated by a human user. So the machine will be allowed to use more time. Will be allowed to search deeper. The estimates I've heard are something like 150 rating points upgrades and about 400 rating points upgrades in actual search time. So I'm playing up against Vinvin, who's actually just a computer operator. So we're just going to be playing some casual matches. Last time we played a time control of 5+3. This time it'll be 3+2. Personally, I'll say, my preference is usually to play humans, but it's only been because there's usually been a way or a strategy to beat the machines. So, win or lose, I think it should be interesting. Last time, Stockfish was getting some advantages in the middle game and not converting them. So this should be interesting. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to get started. So we're all set up here. The other thing I should mention is I think Vinvin will be using the Leechess Opening Explorer to begin with the opening, and then at a certain point he'll decide to start using the engine's original moves. So let's go. Okay, e4, e5. Now I'm going to need to try to manage my time. So the most critical part is probably the middle game, where there's the most complications. So yeah, strategically I'm not looking to do anything vastly different from how I play against a human opponent, other than I just know I'm up against a computer. Okay, we've gone for the symmetric e4, e5. I'm a little bit concerned on how much time's being consumed so early by the operator. So we'll see if this is a suitable time control, or if we should extend the time control to allow more time for transferring moves. Okay, h6. So yeah, quite common, is bishop g5. So already here, this is a little bit new to me. a6. Okay, I've not seen this particular position before, so it's a little bit original. So I've often done a kind of knight a4 move, but that can now be met with bishop a7. So being in an unfamiliar position, I'm just aiming to develop naturally. So the interesting thing I want to point out here is, there's h6 and a6 kind of moves, a bit more aligned with some human intuition, if you like. Often the machines just play to the tactics, and then it's quite a weakness that strategically they're not switched on. So this is a little bit different already. All right. Bishop at c4 just gets met with lots of different ways to defend the e6 square. I've balanced this. So my evaluation of this is still completely balanced, but both sides very solid. I've played queen e1 in anticipation of moves like knight h5. Okay, knight a5. So I'm impressed so far. It's been very patient. It's no drastic moves. Okay, so I'm going to throw in a human kind of move here, where I'm saying knight a5 is there. This is a bit speculative. Honestly, it's nothing concrete. Um, I'm looking to get active. So the point is that while this knight's here, I need to be very active in the center, or else I can't justify the sacrifice of this piece on a pawn. Well, this is interesting. So knight's under attack. This knight's coming in. Right, we'll capture this one. Okay, time's getting low. Got a motor here. And knight e4 is probably a good move, yeah. Unfortunately, this looks like it's going to come down more to time than anything else. Yeah, I think we may need to change the time limit. We'll see how we go. Yeah, I think we're going to need to change the time limit because I think Stockfish is starting to make some ground here, and I don't want the outcomes just to be determined by time. All right, so oh wow, there's a whole lot of chat and interest in here. Um, so Rodrigo has asked how old I am. I'm, I'm 30 at the moment. Actually, no, I think I'm 31 now. Or maybe I wish I was 30. Um, yeah, okay, I'm not going to go through reading all the chat, but it's all basically about history and human players and computer players. Um, yeah, we're suggesting maybe change to 5 and 5. Look, yeah, so Vincent's in my channel as well. He's suggesting 5 minutes plus 5. I mean, I don't mind something longer. Maybe you need a longer increment. So how about something like 5 minutes plus 15 seconds? I mean, how long was it taking there? I think 5 plus 15 is fine. The audience has all sorts of suggestions, but most of them are longer increments. I reckon we'll go with even something with longer time, because I was playing 5 plus 3 before as well, so I'm feeling like I'm pressured for time here. So, all right, we'll go for. Let me find Vinvin. Okay, we've got Tebow joining us as well. So that's the founder of Leechess. G'day, Tebow. Let's go. Where's yours? Real time. We'll go 5 plus 15. Okay, so yeah, my honest assessment is I made a decision to make a sacrifice. I don't think it was warranted, um, and I think the engine was starting to make some ground on me. Oh, um, let me just change the name of the stream. Canvas machine, Stockfish's Revenge, chess.org. Sorry, guys. All right, I've just updated the description so that Bleachess viewers can see it. Thanks, Tiba. Okay. All right, here we go. E4. So we're going with 5 plus 15 this time. So this should hopefully give the operator more time. Okay, bit of a slow start, but let's get into some crazy moves here. So this is also probably good for me, given we've got this there's some crazy house events approaching. We've got the people on chess.com are trying to arrange a world championship event between some of the strongest players here. We've also got chess.com supporting the game with a $2,000 prize fund. So yeah, it's good to get some practice in before these events. No better way to train than to find the strongest opponents you can. So yeah, I'm kind of quietly hoping that the engine improves because it's for what 16 years or something the humans have had the edge. So it's largely not because of computer power, just because developers haven't really invested time into the game, and I think there's been a lot more of that in the last year. Okay, so this I've played many times, but if the engine is very strong, it probably favors the engine because it's a very sharp line, and usually it opens up on white's terms. So yeah, we've got some fans of the engines in the chat and some fans of the humans. Okay. Now this is a queen select one I've played for quite a while, but I've not explored this entirely theoretically, so it'll be interesting to see if the engine can actually refute some lines that have been played by many of the top players for a long time. Okay, so let's go for this. Okay, so I'm expecting the engine will be happy to pick up this material. The idea behind this opening sacrifice is to build a lot of pressure here and to somewhat limit the material available to white to counterattack. Not counterattack really, to start an attack. So yes, black is down a queen for a piece, but things are quite well coordinated. Okay, see where it goes from here. Knight at f5. Okay, that's quite an aggressive move. So, don't think I've really seen this move too often before. So what do I need to look out for here? I mean, there's going to be another pawn that might need to come here. So I'm going to give knight at f4 a go. So this makes some threats with bishop takes f3. Oh, knight h6. Okay. I have to capture that. So it's either a pawn at e7 or pawn at f6. I'm expecting. Pawn at e7. Okay. So I'm going to make the assumption that bishop takes f3 is not going to work out well for black. Let's capture. But let's not assume things, let's figure it out properly. So I think if bishop takes f3, the most accurate move is queen takes f3. And then black really can't continue attacking without capturing here, but then white will have an extra bishop in hand. So then something like queen at h8 check, king takes, promotion, check, block, bishop at g7, king h7, rook at h8, king g6. It's all going to turn ugly for black there. So black needs an alternative. So if the rook moves, we lose the knight, knight at f6. There's progress being made there. So I wonder if knight e6 is required here. So 96, at least if capture, there'll be a rook defending f. So let's go 96. Okay, Vincent's quoting the evaluation. He's calling it at +9. That's so Vinvin is Vincent Lejeune in the chat. So Vincent Lejeune is just showing the computer's evaluations as well. So yeah, I'm going to capture this way. I don't think there's any reason to do different. So if I were white, what would I go for? I suppose putting the rook on the 7th is a strong play, because then that forces black to block on f7. The knight at f6 check starts to give black a few worries. I mean, basically the situation here is if white doesn't counterattack and start mate threats, I mean, black is very dangerous straight away. So okay, as expected, rook at d7, threatening queen at g7 and queen at h7. So I'm forced to put something here, which then allows knight at f6, which is not ideal. In fact, it's looking quite dire already. If pawn f7, knight at f6, king g7, queen at h7, king takes f6, queen takes h6, and no matter what you block with on g6, pawn at g5 is mate. So it's actually a critical move putting it on d7, because if the rook was on e7, black would have an escape square. The other alternative is I can actually just put a pawn on g7. That also stops both mate threats. So I could put a pawn there, or I could put a bishop there. All that really matters is determining whether the pawn or bishop is going to be more useful for myself later. But okay, pawn at g7, if queen at e7, bishop at f6 is an important resource to defend with. Queen f8, king takes, rook at f7. No, there's enough defensive resources, so pawn at g7 is the way to go. Pawn at f7 would be losing on the spot. It's good that I've got a bit of time to really look a bit deeper as well. Now, I think pretty soon here we either find that white strategically runs out of initiative, or the engine has seen deeper than I have, and we see a brilliancy tactically appearing on the board. So Vincent says from +11 to +10. This is back to +10. So bishop at f6 looks like the right move here. Queen f8, king takes. Ooh, rook at h8. Hang on. Knight here, knight at h7, king takes. No, I've got d7 as escape square, so takes. Could be sharp here. I might have to use a bit of time to think. I've got to respect queen takes f8. So I've got a few options here. I'm looking at bishop at f6, or potentially bishop at f7. Now, bishop at f7, the only real continuation is going to be queen takes f8, king takes. There it's rook at h8, knight at g8, knight at. The bishop on f7 is actually more useful because it's blocking here. And king here, rook takes, bishop takes, knight at f6 check, takes, king f8, pawn at g7 mate. So I'm actually mated if I play bishop at f7. So what's the difference with bishop at f6? Queen takes. No, then knight at h7 is mating, because king e8, knight takes f6, g takes, rook at d8. Or otherwise king g8, knight f6, takes, rook at g7. No, bishop at h7, king either way. Okay, so bishop at f7 and bishop at f6 are both getting mated, so this is the kind of tactical brilliancy I was talking about. Unless I can find another resource. Maybe I have to play knight at f7. Because the knight then covers h8, so that check is prevented. Yeah, I think that's my only good move. So I'm still going to get checked here. Bishop at e8, knight at h7, king g8, takes, bishop at g8. It still looks bad. Maybe I've got a block on d8. Takes. So the interesting thing is, I wouldn't be thinking this long against a human opponent. I probably would have played bishop at f6 quite a while ago, but really spending the time here. Okay, I can't see better than knight at f7, so let's see if the computer has a brilliancy here. I'm expecting it to take the rook, and if it does, I'm expecting I could be in some trouble. Oh, okay. Let's see if I've missed mate somewhere. I'm expecting like rook at c8. Okay. Now, bishop at e8, knight at h7, king g8, rook takes e8, takes, bishop at g8 is going to mate me. So I have to play bishop at d8. Okay. Well, I'm not mated here, but yeah, I need to be cautious on how I proceed. So if king e7, then what? Bishop at h4 perhaps. g5, knight takes, king takes, knight e6. Shaky. It's better to play rook at e8, bring the bishop back. So I'm actually still a rook down here in material. Okay, I'm now starting to take up too much time. Alright, okay. Thanks, Vincent. Vincent's given me a bit more time to think about it. Shouldn't really be required. I should move within the time control. I'm concerned about bishop at h4. Rook at e8. Alright, we'll go king e7, but I think bishop at h4 is very strong for white here. Oh, rook h8. So maybe there's a different mate threat. So bishop at d8, king d7, knight at p6. Bishop at f8. Intuitively, I feel like there's a mate on the back rank somewhere if I don't cover it. I just can't see it. Knight at c8 takes... Oh no, knight at b8, so then king f7. Bishop at e8, king f6, knight at h7. So knight at c8 is the mate threat. I'd expect nothing less from the machine, really. Yeah, defending. I play this move reluctantly because I think rook e8 and then white's probably got enough momentum to start bringing home the win. The problem here is if it's captured and then bishop takes, then knight at g8, and then at some point white's going to get knight e5 in with check, and queen g4 is going to happen. Once that happens, and my stronghold is gone, then I think it's all over. So I'm going to capture with the king, but I don't think that's much better because there'll be checks on the back rank. So I think white has the opportunity to shuffle black's king around on the back rank here till it's in an optimal position to favour. I think if I retreat this bishop here, it's all over. Okay. So if my king goes anywhere, there should be a mating net. So I've got to keep blocking. Okay. So not at this, I have to go try to grab some of the stuff. King f7 looks like it would get mated. I don't think this is any better because he gets to capture the rook. I probably need to concede here that I just can't get this attack off the ground before I'm going to get mated. Right, we'll play to e7. So it should be rook g8 here. Yeah, I think it's curtains for black now. If captures, then rook at e8, king f7, knight here, or king here, knight there. So yeah, I'm ready to throw in the towel here. I'm admitting defeat. So I'll just play king d7, but that will fall into mate fairly quickly, I expect. Yeah. So I got rook at e7. We'll finish the job. Here we've got knight h4, king h7, rook h8 to mate. So yeah, a lengthy refutation to this particular line. That's quite interesting. I'm not sure if I've found the best moves for black, but it was certainly interesting that it had to go to the point of queen takes f8. All right, so yeah, I think we should count this as the first match. I mean, I did win the first match on time, but that was not really due to the engine's play. So I'm prepared to call that 1-0 to Stockfish so far. Okay, so my assessment considerably stronger than the last version of Stockfish I played in the previous stream. Okay, so we might get to repeat a similar position that we got in the first game. So also traditionally what's happened is over the years when there's always been a new Crazy House engine or something come out, um, I've actually often struggled with a new engine, and I'd say that the humans have always adapted faster than the engines do. So over time, you find a way to improve or otherwise identify a weakness with the engine. Here, this looks like a real step up. I mean, um, there's some kind of strategic patience that I feel with the engine that it hasn't really had before. And I'm wondering if that's because some prior versions of the engines have put a greater evaluation on sacrifices near the king or squares near the king, whereas Stockfish maybe comes from a base of chess. So it could be more patient positionally, more patient. Yeah, just more patient overall. In the first match, the Stockfish played h6 here. I'm not sure if that was Lichess opening Explorer or if that was the decision from the engine itself. Look, we could open up some of the sharper lines, but I'm gonna go knight a4 here. Now I think the silliest thing to do here would be to try to copy Stockfish's moves, but it just played against me. I mean, there's no point to that. I'm going to try to keep things original. Smash this, Vincent. You need to turn most of the processors off to mimic John's 5 a.m. handicap. The other interesting thing I've found with this over the years is, um, as one of the stronger players in Crazy House, results against me have been used as if I'm a constant force or as if I'm an engine as well. No one ever seems to consider, hang on, was John having an off day or not? It's more likely, oh, it was the computer processor wasn't enough, or there wasn't enough time, or this add-on wasn't added. I nearly feel like I've been treated as more of a constant than a computer, which is interesting. But I'll tell you, I'm human as well, guys. So I'm not suggesting I need a handicap because it's 5 a.m. I mean, I've been playing tournaments at 5 a.m. for a long time. I got to sleep about 10:30 last night, so I'm on a 6.5 hours sleep. That's about as good as it gets. Sometimes I'm on 2 hours. That's not as good. Okay, Bishop G4. This is a bit original. All right, this makes things interesting. So I could move the queen out of the way, or I could choose to allow the loss of the queen 2 pieces. So if we do that, it's going to be a pawn and a queen for 2 pieces. Um, uh, sorry guys, I've not kept up with the chat. I, all right, I've got some options to consider here. These are more strategic than anything else. Let's respect Bishop G4 for a moment. Okay. The only trouble, and this is all intuitive, it's not really to do with calculation at all. Of course, that's what this whole match is about. It's intuition versus calculation. Um, this CD leaves me with 2 pieces for the queen, but I end up with a knight that can't really do anything. And if I was to play something like Bishop G5, which is a nice way to develop, pawn at F3 is already getting black started on the right path. So I'm not as inclined to go for this queen swap off, if you like. And the question is, where do you put the queen? I mean, you can play knight at F3. But I'm not a huge fan of putting a piece on where it's just going to get pinned. I don't want to do queen e1 because of knight at c2. Not queen d2 because of blocking, so I'm looking at queen c2 or queen b3. Queen c2 looks most sensible of the options. I nearly want to reserve the b3 square for another bishop to hit f7. So queen c2 is also nice. It gives some coverage across the back rank. So you could have knight at e2 check, but I'm not too concerned about that. I think just king h1. So yeah, this is an original position for me. I've not seen this before. So that's good. Okay, we got a few programmers in here as well. So Daniel Dugovic is in here. I believe he's one of the developers on Stockfish. So welcome, Daniel. Oh, knight at e2. So that was play. I'm going to play king h1. We'll see if there's some kind of brilliancy I've missed. Because I feel like that's overextending, but we'll see if the engine proves me wrong. The whole premise of this knight a4 idea is to get the bishop back here and trade it off. Alright, I'm gonna see if I can catch up with some of the chat. Sorry guys, it's moving too fast. Alright, never mind that. Okay, knight h5. Wow, okay. So, if takes, queen h4, maybe. This is fascinating. It's nearly more of a strategical move than a tactical move. Um, so there must be quite a bit of depth that this engine's seeing it. Well, I think takes queen h4, and then there's knight g3 as a threat. Takes. Should I be concerned? Queen h4. Not easy to stop knight g4. We'll put a bishop there. Takes. That doesn't do anything. And put a bishop on e1. I think white needs to capture this, or else it begs the question: what are you actually doing? So maybe knight d4 is actually preferable here, and then starting with pawn f3. What I find fascinating is that, the whole idea is this knight being here to trade off a bishop probably helps white, and the engine's actually just avoided the intrinsic material saving move and has come up with something a lot sharper. So I found that at least when we get to a certain point, the engine seems to match the move that I'm expecting. Yeah, knight d4 and then maybe pawn at f3 is getting something started. So that's the unfortunate thing about the queen being on c2. So yeah, okay, the bot's sacrificed a bit of material here, but would be well warranted. I'm going to keep the queen close by, I think. I don't want to put it on c3. People looking for local computer evaluation, it's giving minus 3.7 at the moment. Okay, so even having the extra piece, these two aren't as useful. Okay, pawn at f3 played as expected. Yeah, I think there's enough to say black's going to get some compensation out of this. Is this knight, like all the pieces are just really well coordinated. You can nearly forget the material advantage. Takes, pawn at g2, takes, pawn f3. So I was considering rook g1, but oh, he's got another pawn in hand. Hold on here. I just had a brain slip. I've got to go for this now. So pawn at f3. Yeah, this knight coming into f4 is also going to be dangerous. That has to be captured. I think it's all going to go pretty quickly from here. Now, pawn at f3 is already a mate threat. I need to push f3. But already here, I think black's got significant initiative. Pawn at h3 here already looks like curtains. Oh, queen e2. I expect the engine to find a win from here. I'm not too thrilled with the way I've played the middle game. Yeah, pawn at h3 is a clear win here already. Oh, so I assume there's a mate that it's found already if it's going to sacrifice a queen. I just thought pawn at h3 was simplest. Yeah, there's going to be mate here. Rook at e2 covers off the king, so capture, rook e2, king f1, queen h1. That's all over. So we'll just play out the mate for the sake of the viewers. I think Stockfish is going to go 2-0 here. And I've got to lift my game because I'm impressed with the fact that it's left its bishop on d4 and employed something more strategical rather than tactical. So this is new. This is new. This is exciting. Okay. I'm going to try a mix of openings as well. I think going down the same line again and again isn't going to be that inspirational. But look, respect to the engine. This is a strong engine, guys. That's my opinion. Whereas previously you would expect the engine to just fault or slip up strategically. I think you actually have to spend a bit more time on it now because yeah, it's seeing at some good depth. Okay, 2-0 to Stockfish. Okay, we've got an advanced French here. Now, I actually don't normally play this as black. I'm often more on the white side, but it's I found it interesting enough to give this a go. So I'm in unfamiliar territory here already. I've not played this. So it's I think this is the way it should work. It'd be good to put me in some new positions. That's how you learn. Okay, what's good here? C7's a weakness to be wary of. Could play pawn at c5, bishop c5 is also natural. play pawn at f6, potentially. Bishop b5, bishop d7 takes. Yeah, sorry, I shouldn't be taking up this time to decide what to do on move 5. Clearly, I'm actually not really playing as if I'm playing a human opponent here. I must be switching strategy intrinsically. Okay, I'll go pawn at c5. I actually want to develop this knight to c6, not have it hindered. So it might be interesting, Vincent, it might be interesting if you can also let the viewers know when you cease using the Lichess Opening Explorer and when you switch over to Stockfish. Similarly, I often tell my viewers when I'm leaving the opening book. So it might be interesting. Okay, so I'm not sure where this knight may go back, but I'm planning to get the knight out to c6, hold this center here. I mean, black's got to be careful. If you're not careful, things like pawn at d6 or things to knight c7 can come out. Okay, so Vinvin is saying he usually plays just 3 to 4 moves. So it's quite possible both engine and human are out of book here. So yes, I'll get 97 in. So I guess that's another difference. Before, Stockfish wasn't playing with an opening book as well, so it's having to figure out some of the first few moves itself. So it's good that we give it an opening book. Okay. Quite reserved. Bishop e2. Okay, I'm going to get knight c6 in, or maybe knight d7. I want to put some pressure on e5. I could play knight d7, knight c6, but I think this was going to come out here. Let's just play knight c6. So smash notes at d6. He says his highest scoring move here. Yeah. Well, all of Lichess's records are based on human versus human history. So none of that counts here. This is all new. This is all new ground. The game is so young. It's not like this has been theoretically explored with a machine. So you compare that with the way chess is played these days. The grandmasters are playing, and they've already looked at things fairly deeply with a machine, so you assume that they've got justification for what they're playing. Here it's all new to everyone. Okay, Vinvin saying +3 already. Wow, that surprises me. So there's, bishop g5 could come in, but maybe f6 is playable. I'm not too unhappy with where black is at the moment. It's just unfamiliar and a little slower than usual. Okay, bishop g5 played. Should I go f6? Or am I opening up myself to something? Queen b6 is an option as well. Yeah, I don't want to be weak on the dark squares though. So it takes. It takes and knight at c7. There'll be some tactics at the end. Maybe the queen can't leave its post just yet. So I'll put the queen out to b6. Vinvin says the engine guessed Queen b6 and it's now playing plus 4.7. Well, if it's playing plus 4.7, there's either something I've missed tactically or it evaluates the position very differently to how it does in chess. Because, I mean, in chess, plus 4.7 is an extra piece and a pawn, pretty much. Oscar Cartwright says, don't trust the engine evaluation. A lot of time they are overconfident. Oh, I'm not going to be intimidated by an engine's assessment. Okay, pawn at h5. So, if 97, knight at d6 is going to be good. So I'm going to have to part with this piece. So, yeah, can't play queen b2 just yet. If knight e5, can I play pawn f6 afterwards? Is that worth it? No, he's taking the bishop. So it's going to be knight e5, pawn f6, knight takes c6, b takes c6. Daniel said, I helped develop it, and even I distrust the evaluation. He said, evaluations help engines understand, not help humans. An interesting comment from one of the developers. Oh, okay, so bishop g7, knight at d6. I'm gonna have to take that. I'm getting opened up here. So knight at d6, king e7, knight at c8 isn't anything. Where's it going? I can't play king f8. I've got to go king e7. Could play knight at f5, but yeah, so it might just be trying to grab pawn on f7. Knight here. Yeah, I'm wondering if it was worthwhile sacrificing that bishop on f6. I thought it would just settle for knight c6, bc, and something like bishop f4, and just keep the piece for the pawn. So right now it's running knight h8 after the rook takes, knight at c8, win this queen. Or it's even just take. Maybe I should preserve this rook. Knight at c8, takes, pawn. There's nothing there. Knight at f5, takes, king f7. Yeah, rook f8 looks sensible. I mean, knights next to your kings are sometimes friends, so I'm not yet feeling so bad about this, unless I'm missing something entirely. Smash says, now for the first time ever, John knows what it feels like to play John Lee. I find these comments funny. Okay, h6 played. Right, so this is just a sensible boarding of pieces, really. It's there's nothing hugely tactical. It's just good strategical use of every piece on the board. So yeah, if all the trades come off, it's not really favouring me, is it? Alright, let's play rook f7, I think. Knight at c8 is a possibility. I'm not too concerned about losing the queen. I think it might recapture here. Maybe it'll go for the queen. Sure. It'll pick up the rook and queen, two knights, and then it'll pick off this bishop. Maybe try to come in on the back. Not sure. I got to play intuitively. So knight at c8 plus 11.8. Okay, here we go. So I'm gonna grab this guy. I'm certain it's gonna take my rook. So if it takes the bishop, then I get an open line on the file. Yeah, bishop at g3 sensible. I've got a whole set of pieces here. I mean, white's got to find a way in, either through the back. Or, like, I'd be confident enough to think rook g2 here is potentially mating in many moves. It may not, in fact. If it's not, then I'm actually in some trouble. So it doesn't think it's a threat. That's interesting. So I guess it's just going to play king h1. And then rook h2. Yes, maybe I don't really have all the cards in hand just yet. So I need to block off queen at c8. bishop here. The rook's actually quite valuable to help cover the back rank against mate threats for now. I probably shouldn't just chuck it there if the king is going to go to h1. So bishop at c8 seems logical. Bishop at e8, king, bishop takes c6, takes. But then I'm just heading back, heading downhill from there. All right, we've got to put this bishop on. I just feel like it's easier for white to make progress from here. And the difference is all in one tempo here. I mean, if black has one extra move, it makes all the difference. And really put white on the defensive here. Bishop at e8 played. Now if I move here, bishop c6. Takes, rook takes, bishop at d8. Vinvin saying plus 13.9 now. Yeah, that's okay. That's fair enough. White's stronger here. Okay, queen h5 played first. So if I block with the bishop, that's going to be a problem because then queen at h8 and I can't save my rook. So seems unfortunate. This move's actually good at making me close off the file. So sad move, but I'm going to play it. Yeah, if queen at h8, I want to save the bishop for f8. If pawn at f7, then pawn at c7 is just crushing, because this rook g2 thing isn't really anything. Actually, king h1, and then it's all over. So bishop at d6, a good move. Plus 42.7. I must be near mated there. The problem for me is I can't cover c7 adequately anymore. Oh, of course, now the rook falls. That's not ideal. Yeah, very accurate. Expect nothing less. So all the mate threats are here. I'm going to have to throw in the towel on this match, because already we've got all the mate threats happening. So I'm going to resign this one. Basically, queen d8, queen d8 is going to be too strong. If I capture anything, if I capture this way, queen e8, king d6, bishop at c7 mates. So I'm not making ground. It's 3-0. It's 3-0. Okay. Let's try d4 this time. So it's good to go through different openings. Well, we've already gone through an hour and 15. So these are long matches. Smash is asking 1d4 and the fianchetto system, maybe. It would be cool to see. Maybe. Okay. Request from the audience is d4 and fianchetto. So, not one of my preferred systems, but yeah, it's good to see how the engine does in those situations, I suppose. So here I'd normally play bishop f4, e3, bishop e2, knight d2. Um, but yeah, I've played against this stuff plenty as well, so see where this goes. So yeah, I kind of get the feeling that if Stockfish is putting pieces in my half, it's seen deep enough to see that it's not overextending. And honestly, when I've seen it do that, I've felt that it's overextending. So it's maybe evaluating a bit better than I am. So with that being said, I'd prefer to go forward, try to push into my opponent's half, and not stay too passive. Because I feel like once I start relinquishing territory, um, the engine's probably figured out that it's fine to take that territory. So Vinvin's confirming bishop f5 is already from the engine. So yeah, I mean, the general strategy of this kind of setup in, I'll say, human versus human matches is white basically builds a fortress here, and then at some stage gets very aggressive, and it's so hard to break this fortress that often black doesn't get the opportunity to counterattack. So I'll just proceed. Should I play h3 or let's get developing? I'll develop. I don't see an immediate need to play h3. Simon Muller says the sun is slowly rising on the horizon of Australia, and with this first rays of the sun, maybe a glimmer of hope is filling John's heart. No, it's fine. Um, I've got hope all the way through all the matches I've lost already. Bishop e7. Okay. So it's all very sensible from both sides here. So where does this knight want to go? d2 or c3? Yeah, my preference is to put it on d2. Potentially get out with rook c1, c4 at a later stage. So yeah, all pretty mild here. Danny Walker's requesting 1g4 for knight for white next game. And Smash says that's unfair, Danny. Known win for white in Crazy House. Okay, I think we'll prepare rook c1. So what I'm looking for here is the opportunity to hit black with pawn at h6 before it gets an opportunity to hit me with pawn at h3. Yeri Spark, he says, white looks so solid now. Oh yeah, for now. Well, this engine's been able to find some pretty nice ways to open up positions. Well, now is a good word. I think now I'll play h3. The black's in my half a little bit already. C4's coming. 98 minus 0.8. Okay, d2 captured. Recapture with the queen. Unless I've missed something with knight at c4, which is going to result in a material gain. No, that's okay. Knight at c4, queen c3, bishop b4, queen b3, knight a5, queen a4. I'm okay with that. So it'll be interesting. Yeah, see knight at c4, unless it's actually found a way to win material. There's a little bit committing a piece on the wrong side of the board. I'd be looking at trying to get in on this side. The knight at h5 is a intuitive response. I just need to be careful of it's going to go down on e2. So if bishop takes, oh, knight at b5. Maybe it's just undermining pawn on pawn on d4. You know what? I've got to stay true to myself and just allow that sort of thing. Because I'm honestly not going to beat the computer by seeing deeper in tactics. If there's a way that it's going to win, it's through some kind of intuitive weakness that the computer has. So, you know, if I'm going to sacrifice the queen for some initiative, so be it. That's just a practical way of seeing things. Because after capture, there's, you know, knight at b4, b5, or knight at a4. If you're really trying to preserve everything, you might play a4. But I'm here nearly thinking I'm gonna part with the queen and start attacking. Okay, here we go. So it's opting for the material. Maybe I'm being too optimistic, but could let this go, or I could take I don't want to sack straight away. I kind of want to have open options, but not let d4 crumble. Okay, so here's the human move. Queen c4. Very optimistic. Not necessarily best, not necessarily logical. But I'm basically saying, well, there's two knights here out of play. And I'm just going to make d4 concrete. And I'm going to say it's going to take a long time for black to get from here to my king. And I'm going to bank on trying to get into black faster. Ooh, see, that's kind of human. I'm very surprised with how this engine plays. It's nearly evaluating it's got to make something there. So I'm going to ignore that. And, well, do I want to keep a bishop for here? I want to play bishop at e5. That's all. Vinvin saying knight takes d4 minus 3.3. Well, minus 3.3 is not so bad. I've been minus 47 here. Smash is funny. He says maybe Vinvin is cheating by playing human moves. Okay. Let's see how it proceeds from here. This should be interesting. Because I've got some pressure bearing down here. If pawn e2, I'm going to take. Oh, it's going to defend first for a move. All right, queen at g6. No, this is getting into decisive territory. I need to play this correctly. So there's a counter attack on here. I need to be careful of. And it's generally not the preference to put the knight on g7, but I think that is the right move in this case. I need to preserve this knight. I'm expecting pawn at f6, perhaps. This bishop can also grab material this side. Alright, we've got a game here. So yeah, pawn at f6 might have allowed knight at h4. So now there's the opportunity to consolidate black. So what's a knight going to do in terms of damage to my side? I either grab material or I keep pressing on g7. So knight at e2. Hmm. So the audience is getting some fascinating games out of this, they're telling me. Or have I got something interesting with knight at h4 here? I mean, I can grab this queen, but I just feel like the material would get balanced, and black is probably safer than white. So it's a bit tricky here. I've got to make the right decision. Alright, you know what, guys? I'm going to play the ugly looking move. I'm going to preserve this knight on g7. What I need to be careful of here is now pawn at e2 might just be a good way to progress. Pawn at e2 is expected. So do I need to cover a little bit at home? Knight at h6, king h8. Knight e6, it's too slow. Knight h6, knight h4. Takes. Block, pawn at g7. We'll take a step to defend. Knight at c3 is necessary, I think, just to prevent black coming in on b1, d1 or e2. So there's rook at d1, rook at b1, pawn at e2. These are all natural penetration moves following e takes f1. I'm just giving myself a bit of safety for a moment. Meanwhile, perhaps the path to unentangling my pieces is a move like pawn at f5. Then e takes, knight takes f5. And pawn at g7. Okay, bishop g7 played, so... Oh no. Bishop takes, queen h5, bishop at g4, this takes. I'm just losing too much material, so I'm tossed up between knight g7 bishop g7. This is not the move I expected. Either because I just don't see as deep as the engine, or because it's not the best move. So what does black gain with the knight? Pawn on g2. Right. I'm going to take with the bishop here. I'm going to take the opportunity to get aggressive. This queen's going to capture. I've got bishop at g4. Wonder if a capture here is possible. Knight h3, rook, king h2. I think the queen would back off the g6. Oh, that's a surprise. Pawn at g2. What have I missed? Knight at h6, queen takes, bishop takes. So it's seen that there's a benefit in knight at h4. So taking... Oh, I squandered this somehow. Knight at h6 takes two knights and two rooks looks too dangerous back at home. No, knight at h4 is not ideal. So black's now actually making some headway into white's position here. So after knight f3, I'm going to try to defend creatively with g4. Cover rook h2. Now if takes, pawn at g2 takes, knight at h4, king h1 is still safe because he has no pawn in hand. Rook at h2 mate's covered. It's coming in this way. So the difference here is then another pawn in hand might just make the difference. Yeah, but then he'd have to... Queen h3 is a resource. Yeah, this is not good at all. I've missed queen h3. Yeah, this is mate now, so queen h3, pawn h2, rook h2, and queen g2 to finish. Very nice. Pretty disappointed there, because strategically there were things happening on g7. I don't know if I proceeded the best way. I'm down 4-0 now. Okay, d4, d5. Danny Walker says, John, I'm not disappointed that you were losing. Name this video Stockfish's Revenge. He said, I'm disappointed that you don't believe in yourself. Where do you get the idea I don't believe in myself? That seems to be like an assumption. I've got the liberty here of being a human that can adapt. I mean, this happens every time a new engine release comes out that's a significant improvement. I lose a whole ton of games, and then you know, this isn't the end of it. So we might try to play a bunch of matches, but we can always try a rematch. If anything, the reason why I don't like playing engines as much is not because I don't like losing or I don't like the outcome. It's actually that they get boring once you figure them out, and it's preferable to play a human opponent that continues to adapt. The fact that there's more development into the engines now means that the engines are now adapting, and it makes them interesting to play against. So yeah, I mean, most people are just not playing an engine because they just don't want to waste their time on taking it. I'm faced with the prospect of sometimes not having significant challenge in a human opponent. Not as much today. So let me just say today there's plenty of human competition, but I'm keen to play the toughest opponent, and this is really interesting. I'm getting torn apart here, and I'm not blundering games in the opening or something. This is hard grind. The engine is going toe to toe with me and beating me in the area where it would normally lose. So yeah, just one more response to Danny's comment on not believing in myself. If I've called it Stockfish's Revenge, I mean to some extent I'm thinking it should be better, and um, it should do better than the prior version. But yeah, it's you got to make an interesting title. I mean, there's no point just saying, oh, here I am going to play the engine again. You know, is the engine's revenge. So Vin's mentioning it, he's closed the book already. So bishop b5 is an original move from Stockfish. Okay, bishop e5. Well, this is new to me. I normally see a move like this. So what's it thinking? f6. There's something on with knight h4 maybe. Play knight f6. Takes. I'm going to go with f6. My chat's been taken over by programmers that are talking about the parameters you can adjust with Stockfish, I think. I'm surprised by how much interest there is in this match, actually. There's 66 people watching. For a person up against a machine, I'm very surprised. Ooh, what is going on? Castles leaves the e5. Bishop hanging. Really? Claiming +1 at the same time. Okay. Yeah, I'm not that keen on taking this bishop on e5, actually. I'm just astonished that the engine is leaving this hanging. Okay, if we capture it, bishop e7. Well, we play knight e5 probably. Let's consider this properly. You see, the interesting thing here is Castles looks like, is the engine doing the right thing? This is like ridiculously human-like playing Castles here. Um, I just wasn't expecting this move, so I've got to figure out what I want to do with this position. Because I can just keep developing with knight g7, but I'm assessing if it's worthwhile capturing it. Takes, bishop e7, knight d4 maybe. Base, queen h5. Look, it's not bad either way. I feel like I got a couple good options here. I don't know what to take. Knight e7, knight h6. You know what? What's the fun if you don't call the bluff? I'm gonna see what it has in mind. Let's grab this bishop. I'll play for a small residual advantage on material. It's clearly been modified in a way to value control of squares, not just material. Maybe, no, knight d4 could be quite good, because after bishop at d7, knight f5 takes, then queen d5. Maybe that's what I've missed. So in that case, maybe queen d7 is necessary to defend. Knight d4 plus 5, really? Alright, I'm going to see what this thing has in mind. Pawn at a6. Pawn at a6 is possible. Okay, pawn a6 played. Yeah, so white's got compensation here. Maybe it's not about evaluating material position. It's actually just figured out it can win my queen. Now my trouble here is I don't want to lose this bishop on f5. I'm kind of interested to know if I played bishop c5, if that had come up with a different outcome. Maybe e7 wasn't the best square. But okay, bishop at c8 takes, pawn a6 takes, bishop c6. Drop the queen, pawn e2. Let's play bishop at c8. So Never Interpreter, he says, I wonder if John Lee can get even stronger if he learns from Stockfish. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, you only learn from your mistakes. And if you don't have a force that shows you your mistakes often enough, then it's hard to improve. So okay, it's decided it's just gonna lock up the position here. So now knight c3 brings knight d5 in as an opportunity. So I'm just going to give f5 some coverage. A takes b7 plus 8. Knight c3 also covers e2, so that's the point. Yeah, okay. That I missed. I have to admit. Yeah, takes. I'm gonna take this guy so that f5 is not under attack. Yeah, I'm just dropping material here, aren't I? So I wouldn't mind getting my king some safety. Now bishop g5 isn't preferable just yet because of queen h5 check. And knight f7, queen g5 is all over because e7 hangs. Can't defend that mate. So there are more direct path. The knight d5 is also going to open me up. Alright, I'm going to play bishop f1. This queen feels like it's too useful at the moment. It's hitting h5 and b5. I'm going to try to distract it. It may not be distracted. White will just continue with something like knight e7. Because it's going to take a while for an attack to brew on this side. Yeah. You know why this machine's so good? Because it plays like a human. That's why. It's actually figured out how to play like us. So how to form some counterattack here. Tempted to leave this. Queen at c6 I can capture, takes. So is that survivable? Yeah, I've got to be optimistic here and capture this guy. But objectively, I think white's better here. Okay, queen at c6. Takes, pawn d7, bishop at d6. I saw something here before that looked quite dangerous after king. King f7, maybe not much better. Knight at g4. Oh, I've got to take this. Very resourceful move. Bishop at a3. That actually now makes white look very strong. Mate in 9, given. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I'm looking at king f7. That's getting mated by queen h5. Because the trick here is that there's now a square that's defended on e7. Okay, I ventured into capturing this this bishop on e5 in the opening, and I've not been up to the same tactical level that Stockfish has been. It's saying I'm mated already. I want to see where this goes. You just promote to a queen here, surely. That's the way forward. And then there's two queens then attacking e7. Yeah, I'm not making ground against this engine. Got to do something different. Okay, we've gone for an hour 54 here. I'm concerned my family's going to be waking up fairly soon. See how it goes. We may even claim a mercy rule if I go 6-0 down, given that six points would take a match of 10. But I'm very impressed with the engine. I think rather than quantity of matches, I think it's good, decent quality. Okay, we got a French here. So the computer played an advanced French, and as much as I'd like to do that, I'm going to avoid similar openings. So we'll go for the exchange. I'll open things up. So my goal first and foremost, I mean, really with this channel is, we've got to promote the game, create some interest. I'm concerned about, you know, turning this into I'm just going to find a way to win for my sake, and make it a boring series by playing the same openings again and repeating moves and figuring out what the engine does against this, that, and the other. I think it's far more interesting playing different openings. So Vinvin's confirming, book's closed now. So this is relatively little influence from the opening explorer, if you ask me. Alexei Kochemirovsky, he says -2 for engine already, probably. Yeah. Jeroen says, I like how Jan completely ignores the alarm in the background. What do you mean by that, Jeroen? Is there background noise with the static? I am sorry if there has been. Microphone's had a few issues last week. I'm wondering if the component is some way damaged. Oh, okay. Yeri Spark says, we hear a buzzer from time to time. Sorry about the sound. No, it's not created by an alarm here. It's actually the microphone or something in the sound. I actually only get to hear it um, after I post a stream. Hey, 27. Even that's fairly human, this one. I'm going to play forward. I'm going to put pawns up front. Yeah, I can't hear this buzzing sound. Is the buzzing sound on right now? E-Dog Bomb says there's always an alarm in your streams. It sounds like it's a national emergency alarm or something. That's terrible. I need to figure that out. Sorry, guys. I wonder if it's even something to do with compression, because when I test on my own, I don't seem to be able to replicate the problem. Okay, pawn at g4 played here. No, but it's a very annoying sound, so I acknowledge that it's not ideal at all. Knight d2 is okay, but I'm tempted to just play something like knight c3. In fact, I will. d5 is going to be under significant pressure if gf and queen takes f3. Alright, yeah, sorry about the microphone, guys. I might need to try a new one, try something else. I've, as you know, I've got a 3-year-old kid, so sometimes she'll join me on a stream or join me while I'm playing, and the cord gets yanked. So maybe something's gone wrong with the component. Okay, he's gone for the knight, so I'm looking at picking up d5. Very interested to see where it goes from here. Okay, a6. So if knight d5 takes, maybe it's accepting that it can capture a few pieces for the queen. Could be right in doing so. So I can still play bishop a4, b5. That's better for me because the queen's opening up. So I shall move this back to a4. The b5, then this knight's under attack. So I'm just keeping pressure on d5, keeping pressure on the pin. If knight at b6, then I would take d5. And potentially knight a4 takes. And that's a queen for 3 pieces. Oh, b5, really? Okay. Oh, so there's a knight d4 trick that's now available. Very interesting. So knight b5 is no good because ab bishop takes, queen b4 check wins the bishop. Now if knight d5, then knight takes d4. Without going too further ahead, the queen d5, knight at b4, knight d4 takes, knight e7 takes. This looks like the most interesting continuation. I'm going to take it. So if knight d4, I've got a few options. I can play queen e4 or I can play knight e7. It seems to be burning up a lot of time, this match. Oh wow, it's taken this way. Okay, I've got to take the queen. Yeah. Let's call him b takes a4 minus 0.6. Okay, so I've got a queen and 2 pawns with 3 minor pieces. Okay. Can we get decisive here? Is something like pawn at b7. I've got to say it again. Its strength is that it plays like a human. I know it's an unusual thing to say. Alright, so what's on my mind is I've got to make some pretty quick continuation here with some form of initiative or activity. Because if I don't, then the minor pieces will actually play better than the queen. So while there's a few gaps here, I'm looking at moves like pawn at b7 even, which is potentially too aggressive, but that's where my mind is at the moment. Or something like pawn at d5, quite appropriate. So knight takes d4, queen f7, king f7. No, he's got too much defense on e6, so that's not going to work. So pawn at d5 I don't like because of d4. Yeah, not so simple to find a way forward here. Okay, intuition tells me I need to go for something like pawn at b7. Let's go. Bishop b7, pawn at d7, king d7, queen f7. Just feels maybe white doesn't have quite enough with the pawns. Question from Joe Ksirzek. He says, is Stockfish managing the time or Vinvin? Okay, bishop at a5 check. What piece is going to be useful for me? I wonder if bishop d2 is appropriate. c3 allows knight at c2. f1 is possible. I'd like another piece in here. I'm going to play bishop d2. So Vincent, that'll be a good answer. It says Vincent, he says, I, Vinvin, manage the time, but I lose time to copy moves from board to board. So in managing time, does that mean that you just allow the computer to think longer sometimes and you choose when to take a move? Or are you actually modifying a parameter to force it to move at a certain point? I have a sneaking suspicion after king d7 and queen f7. There's some tactics that mean I might lose the queen. Something like knight at e4, king e1, pawn d2, king f1, bishop at c4 check, queen c4, d1 check, rook d1, knight at d2, takes, knight c4. Where does it leave us? I have a knight in hand. Bishop at e6 would be too dangerous in that case. So I'm going to take f7. Okay, knight e4. Oh, am I just missing something obvious here? Pawn at d2 is very dangerous now. Because king f1, pawn e2 takes, knight d4. Mate at 7, yeah. Well, why didn't I see that? No, pretty disappointing. I was too distracted by bishop at c4 here. But pawn at e2 is just winning for black. Yeah, we'll just play out the following moves for the sake of the viewers. But yeah, I think I'm going to call mercy here at 6-0 and say I've convincingly lost the match against Stockfish and that it's got its revenge. But I will be back. Don't worry. This is really interesting. Congratulations to Stockfish. Absolutely obliterated. So that's a good experiment. We're at 2 hours 10 now. I'm going to start closing off the stream. But yeah, that's, I'd be happy to do this again. There's some significant improvement, and I'm not. I mean, my opinion, what I feel on the improvement with this engine relative to prior engines. So I don't mean the prior version of Stockfish, but Sunsetter, Stang. There's been a number of other engines as well. I mean, when there's been a better engine, I mean, I'll tell you the increment kind of is about that much, that much, that much. The increment feels about this much here on Stockfish. It's a big jump. Um, there's, you could easily claim before that the engines had strategical weaknesses. I don't feel that with this engine as much, and it even plays some moves that are more human than I would consider. You know, uh, some quite optimistic sacrifices or ventures into the opponent's half. So look, I hope that's been interesting for the viewers. Sorry to let down the humans on this occasion, but it's not over. So this is not unusual. Whenever there's a new step, um, I've got to adjust and see what can be done to play better. So it's only good for the game. By no means is it destroying the game at all. It's um, still a very young game. So yeah, I'm going to close off the stream there. Um, look forward to the next match. So Vincent, I'll get in touch with you again. We'll make a point of making a rematch. Um, for the next week, though, the big event for me is going to be the chess.com main event. I've already qualified, so I'll be looking to practice more for that. Very excited to see how that goes. Um, if you've not had a go at qualifying, get into it. They're happening all for the next week. There's 2 qualifiers a day. Um, look, and as always, thanks to Leechess for this amazing site too. So thrilled with how the game's progressing this year. I'm looking forward to an even better year for Crazy House in 2017. Okay, I'm going to finish up there. My family's about to wake up. So, Vincent, thanks for your coordination. Really well done. And I'll be in touch with you for a rematch. I'll be seeking revenge next time. Okay, take care, guys.